Alright guys, so in this video I'm going to show you the difference between how a bad player uses Peeker's advantage and how a good player uses Peeker's advantage. And I kind of want to demonstrate how you should be able to get better at it, how to do it right, and when you're doing it wrong, because there's many times where you think you're having the advantage over somebody else and they still kill you faster even though you had the advantage. And that's because you're doing it wrong without realizing it, and you don't even know that you need to correct it. All right, so I'm going to try to help you guys out with this video, show some examples, and make sure you get a lot better at that so you could win a lot more gunfights in Warzone. All right, so first off, I want to talk about the angle of Peeker's advantage. A lot of people get this wrong. People just want to side cancel out of a corner and kill somebody, which, you know, is good to do, but they don't realize that the angle that they do it at is what's costing them a lot of gunfights. Okay, so you should not be sliding outwards onto the person to try to get a kill. If let's just say I'm trying to aim this way, right? I should not be sliding outward like this and aiming like that, because I'm going to have less of Peeker's advantage to kill somebody, right? You can still get decent Peeker's advantage and kill somebody there, but you're not going to be as effective as if you used an angle and slid right here and kill them like that. Alright, so the reason why this angle is very important is because you're sliding directly over to see the spot right here instead of sliding outward like this, which makes you an easier target. And I kind of explain this too when I talk about breaking cameras in the cone, right? If there's a cone right here, like this, okay, let's just say that's my cone for an example, right? If you're sliding outward into my cone, it's easier for me to see you and kill you than if you're sliding sharply into it instead of being outward, right? So let's just say I'm on the opposite angle. If I'm sliding out like this, right, it's easier for me to die than if I slid right into it like this, because I'm covering more distance on your screen, right? I'm going to be a lot faster on your screen than if you're doing it outward, and easier for me to see right there. In this specific example too, you could see that I allowed myself to have a big cone or a big field of view to be able to see the people in front of me, and they actually did a bad Peeker's advantage to where they didn't slide directly toward me. They kind of went more outward, and that's why it was easier for me to kill them. Alright, so that's why you should stop sliding outward, right, and start sliding inward more, alright? So inward like this instead of sliding outward like that. Alright, it's going to make a huge difference in your gameplay. Another thing with Peeker's advantage is people don't have their gun up in time to be able to kill somebody, right? So if I'm either G-sliding, right, this is why it's really good, or if I want to slide over here with the hip fire and then aim in like that, that's also really good, but you got to do that fast, right, and be able to kill somebody. What a lot of people do is they slide outward, don't see the person in time, and then they want to shoot at them because they're not prepared for a gunfight. So this can be a mental thing, or this is also a reason why I don't jump shoot a lot, is if you're jumping and doing it, right, you have time it takes for the animation for your gun to jump up and then come downward, right, that sprint to fire time, which is going to kind of counteract your Peeker's advantage, and you're not going to get kills in time, right? So if I'm going like this, you see that time it takes for me to jump and shoot somebody? It's going to be a lot harder than if I was just like this, right? I'm able to shoot way faster and get better Peeker's advantage just like that right there. In this example, I was only 1 or 2 shots from dying, but you can see that the second guy who challenged me, he did a jumping animation, and that made sure his gun didn't shoot in time, and I was able to put enough bullets to fully kill him while I had no health myself. Alright, so it's very important that you slide first, and only use the jump when you have to use it. It shouldn't be your #1 go-to move, or else you're going to get caught out in the open, and somebody can be one shot, and that is why you still die. Alright, even if I do slide cancel and shoot, right? If I do a slide cancel shoot, that's way faster than jumping and shooting like that. Alright, so you got to be aware of how much time it takes for your gun to actually shoot, and make sure that your sprint to fire time is not really bad to be able to kill the person. And another thing too, let's just say I don't have an SMG, let's just say I have an AR, right? I'm actually going to pull one out real quick, right? I have the aims right here. Alright, let's just say I have an AR right here, right? This is going to take ridiculously long to jump shoot, right? So I'm definitely not jump shooting. But if you're pre-aiming a little bit earlier than if you had an SMG, well, then you're able to kill somebody and win the gunfight because you have more Peeker's advantage right there, right? So if I don't use Peeker's advantage that good and I'm just like this, that's going to take forever. But if I do pre-aim, boom, then I can shoot somebody a lot faster with heavier weapons that have more sprint to fire time. And now I'm going to talk about ways you can use it better and more effectively instead of just spamming Peeker's Advantage all the time, right? I talked a little bit about this on my other video, right? But there's 3 different types of advantages. There's high ground, there's head glitches, and there's Peeker's Advantage, right? So obviously you don't want to use it against a head glitch or high ground if they have the advantage there. But also too, you should be using it more in close range fights instead of long range fights, okay? So like, let's just say somebody's coming over here. If I use Peeker's Advantage and pop over here, I'm going to be way faster across the screen, and I have a higher chance to kill him because I'm super close to his body. Okay, so go back to that little cone example here, right? Got the little cone right there, right? If I go and pop out all the way over here, I escape the cone, and he's going to fly across my screen, right? And boom, it's just a way better kill that way. Whereas if I'm farther, right, let's just say I'm more over here, and then I do it, then it's not as effective because I'm easier to put inside the cone instead of me just sliding across his body right there and killing him right there, right? Now for AR situations, right, let's just say I want to peek and kill somebody over there. This is still powerful, right, to just pre-aim like you did, boom, that's totally fine. But just keep in mind that it is way better to do it in close range than if you were to do it in far range. It's still not bad to do it here, but if you had an option where you can actually get closer to him and then challenge him with an SMG versus challenging him with an AR, right? If you did have that option in some type of situation, it would be way better for you to use an SMG because you'd actually have a bigger boost towards breaking his cone than if you had an assault rifle right there. Alright, so to kind of tie this entire gunfight together, the main reason I won was because I was taking away their Peeker's Advantage by being more separated from them and not challenging a close fight, and that allowed them to use Peeker's Advantage wrong and try to get close even though I was far. The first guy, I understand that he thought I was closer, so he kind of did a fast move right there and try to get the kill, but me shooting allowed my ping to be on the minimap, and the second guy still tried to use a faster Peeker's Advantage for close range, right? Even though he jumped, he still tried to value speed over actually pre-aiming and getting the kill right there. So he should have been prepared and used the AR and pre-aimed and slid to be able to kill me very easily, and instead he kind of jumped and tried to use a closer range Peeker's Advantage trying to break my cone, but my cone was already too big to where I can see him easily, and it was not as effective. Alright, so he should have focused more on hitting the shot, maybe even using that wall or something like a head glitch, right? Like making it harder for me to hit him and shooting me right there instead of trying to focus on getting the most speed as possible because it was not as effective being that it was farther. Alright, so assault rifle's still good. I would still prioritize head glitches and other power positions than using Peeker's Advantage with assault rifles, right? But it still works. And with SMGs, it's just way better to get closer, to be faster, and to make sure that your gun is on the person in time to be able to kill them. And that is going to get you a lot more kills in Warzone. Alright, so I want to just explain that in this video. Join the Discord if you haven't already for any coaching services or just getting connected with my community. I do have my BO6 full guide still out. And I am live on twitch.tv/the_5th_seal.